Welcome to the Can't Deposit Excuses podcast, where we talk with motivated people and how they've learned to kick excuses to the curb and are on their journey to success. I'm excited to have today with me Mac Westland with Keller Williams Realty. Hey, Mac, nice to have you.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, man. Just like I said, really excited to have you. I think, we were talking a little bit before the show. One of the coolest things that I like to do when I start talking to a guest is to kind of talk about, something that, may not come up in regular conversation. I know in some of our previous conversations, you've got kind of a roundabout way to getting to real estate. You didn't just hop into real estate as a bright and bushy-tailed high school graduate. You kind of found your way here. You had some service in not only the military, but also in law enforcement. You want to tell me a little bit about that experience and kind of how it led you to here, I guess?
Sure. So right out of high school, I graduated from James River High School here in Botetourt. And right after high school, college wasn't my path. Mm-hmm. So I decided to enlist in the Army. Did an active duty tour early on. Following that active duty tour, I out in Washington State, moved back to the Botetourt area. Eventually went into the Army Reserve, which is where I am now. So I'm 19 years later. Went in the Army as an E1. I'm a major now. My reserve duty is out at the Virginia Military Institute. So through that process, which, you go from E1 to a major, so you're enlisted and then you're an officer. So that was a very unique aspect of way of progressing through the military. And a lot of it is making connections, working as a team and just understanding people and how things work. So in the early 2000s, of course the reserve's not going to be a career. Early 2000s, decided I wanted to be in law enforcement. So I went to the police academy, the Roanoke City Police Department, progressed through there, eventually left, had a small break in service, was deployed to Iraq and had some military things going on, came back and joined the Roanoke County Police Department, which is where I ended my career last year, middle of last year.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think, one of the recurring themes as I've been talking to people and doing this podcast is you're a successful real estate agent. We haven't touched on this yet, but I know you were the Keller Williams 2019 Rookie of the Year, and that was on a part-time basis. Now you're doing it full-time, now that you've left law enforcement. You were just telling me a little bit ago that you're going to be, the number one individual producer in the office, and that's also a big accomplishment. And I think what I'm hearing from a lot of people is you might have had some adversity in your life. The college wasn't for me. I went in the military. I served in Iraq. I was in law enforcement. I think that kind of is maybe something that there's a recurring thread throughout that, that adversity tends to breed people that have a little bit of a higher drive to success when they've had to. What's the alternative? The alternative is you're still doing the law enforcement or you're in the military. So to have this thing to push you might kind of be the reason why you are where you are today.
Yeah, that's you're absolutely hit the nail right on the head. In the military, when it comes to promotions and assignments, all that is you're rewarded with great assignments and rewarded with promotions based on who you are as a person and your productivity, your self-motivation to attend certain schools and to do that kind of thing. Law enforcement's the very same thing. You take different assignments within a police department. You're self-motivated, and you learn that if you want to get from A to B, it's on you. You can stay at A, but you can get to B if you're self-motivated to do so. So when I got into real estate, when I was leaving the police department, I was like, gosh, I need to really do something that is self-driven mm-hmm. with results. I didn't want to work for anybody anymore. But I needed something that I could progress through using my motivation as a leverage for success. So I said, you know what? I like to deal with people. And on a positive side, law enforcement wasn't always positive, so I needed something that was going to have positive results that I could drive. So I felt that real estate was really that ticket for me. And as it's turned out, I was blessed to have a great year last year, which was my first year in real estate. I was part-time half the year. I had great mentorship at our market center at Keller Williams. Some top producers brought me under their wing and kind of showed me the path. But my self-motivation that I've learned all through the years with my military and law enforcement, and honestly with my parents, and still in that concept in me, I was able to. It was kind of easy transition for me, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I knew what people were looking for in service. Taking care of clients, getting the mission accomplished, being a problem solver. Mm-hmm. Those are really three concepts that I already knew well. And it really played into my success last year and even into this year.
Oh yeah, and this year has been a challenging year, and I'm sure when you go back and you look at March, April, May, and you see that businesses are closing, that people are being laid off, I'm sure at some point there was probably a little bit of doubt that crept in that said, man, did I pick the wrong time or the right time to be in this market? Because maybe this, this golden goose that just can't stop laying the egg is about to stop, and I might have just entered this at the beginning of maybe 2009 all over again. Now, as luck may have it, that turned out not to be the case, and I know we're all grateful for that. But was there any time during this year, maybe it was during that time, where you looked around and said, you know what, I'm not sure if I made the right decision? Maybe if any self-doubt crept in at a certain point where you questioned that decision?
I have to be honest, not even last year had I had that feeling. Mm-hmm. And agents do have that. They do cross paths in certain situations where they're like, I just want to throw the towel in. Let's just call it and move on. I have not personally had that thought. Part of that is because in military law enforcement, we are problem solvers. And just through life, personal life, work history, I have learned that there's always a path out. There's always light at that end of that tunnel. Mm-hmm. So what are we going to do to get there?
Yeah.
And when I'm representing a client and they love a house and we have challenges, but they still love that house, it's my job to figure out how to get over that massive speed bump and get them to that light at the end of the tunnel. And I really, really enjoy doing that. And even as challenging as it gets, I'm working several deals right now that are so challenging. When we show up at closing and they get those keys and they love the final result, there's nothing more satisfying than that moment right there.
I'm sure that the experience of having been in the military, the experience of having been in law enforcement, and all the things that brings to bear in that life experience. I'm sure you having to make one extra phone call to get a deal done, or having to push on somebody a little bit to maybe nudge somebody along, that pales in comparison to your other life experiences. So probably to you, you're like, you look at this job and you're like, man, this is easy compared to what I could be doing. So yeah, right. I'm lucky and blessed to be in the position that I'm in.
Yeah. Oh, I could easily be walking around in the Middle East somewhere with 50 pounds of battle rattle on me.
Yeah.
And the heat, and dealing with those conditions, this is nothing in comparison to those that are serving us are doing. So, this is, I enjoy doing what I do. I'm blessed to be able to have this opportunity to continue to serve people through the real estate path, and still in the military path. I'm just, you're absolutely right. In comparison, it's apples and oranges. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I think the other thing that you and I have talked about that you really enjoy is the fact that you have the ability to help people out that also serve. That's another big thing that you and I have talked about. The fact that you help people out that are in the military. Maybe they have those VA loan benefits, and you try to figure out how can I help you take advantage of that. Maybe they know that there's some things out there, but they don't really know how it applies to them. And you having been on both sides, not only did you serve, not only are you in the reserve, you're also a realtor. So I know a big thing for you is actually helping people out that have served others in different capacities, including the military. So, talk a little bit about, what that's like. And I think you really enjoy that from what you've told me.
I really do. So just growing up, just normal adulting in life, I've bought and sold several homes just as an adult. Never, not as a realtor, but just using a realtor. And I've had conventional loans. I've had VA loans. I've had an FHA loan. So that process I learned early on. So as a realtor, what's been really, really helpful in my career is I have been able to become that subject matter expert in what those types of loans mean to people, and what people have to do to get those certain loan packages. And so I deal with a lot of military veterans, some Army Reserve. We have a big population of Army Reservists here in the Roanoke Valley. National Guard, Army Reservists, big population, even some active duty people. And the law enforcement. So my circle of military and law enforcement, I would say probably 15 to 18%, maybe even closer to 20. I'll have to run those numbers. Are law enforcement and military in the Roanoke Valley that I help either sell and buy homes for. And I could really help them navigate that VA loan process. I know it like the back of my hand. Done so many of them. And it helps that I have a fantastic lender preferred lender that I like to use. That really has that high level of client care and knowledge that I expect of myself for those clients that fit those categories. And in addition, I took it even further this year. About 2 months ago, I became a Homes for Heroes affiliate. So what that is, the people who are in the law enforcement world, firefighters, teachers, veterans, if you fall in that category, you're considered a hero in this program. And what I do for those individuals that fit that category is about roughly a third of my commission check I give back to the Homes for Heroes program. And in what Homes for Heroes then does is write a check back to that hero after closing to do whatever they want to with it. It's buy furniture, down payment on a car, but a third of my commission I'm giving back to that program to give back to those heroes that allow me to represent them and trust me to help them buy or sell a home. And it's me giving back. And
I think your entire life is a testament to service and a testament to giving back. I mean, from the time that you, like I said, right out of high school, enrolling in the military, enlisting, going through being in law enforcement, now on the real estate side. I mean, it probably speaks volumes as to why you've had the level of success that you've had, because you're willing to make those sacrifices not only early on, but even now as a realtor, where maybe it's not as hard as it once was. There's many things you could be doing that are much more difficult. But the idea that you would turn around and give maybe a third of your commission check back to this program, which then in turn can give some money back to these individuals. I guess it kind of, we always say, do the right thing and everything else will take care of itself. And it sounds like to me, you're always doing the right thing. And that may be the reason why the success is kind of finding you. Like I said to somebody earlier, we often spend a lot of time focusing on the result. And the reality is the result is just the natural progression of all the actions we took up until that point. And so you just take the right actions every single day, and the results, they're just going to happen organically. You don't go out seeking that result. It just happens.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And I'm blessed to be able to help so many of these, we categorize them as the heroes. And it does come back to me in forms of referrals. Because that's really the best compliment an agent can get is a referral.
Yeah.
Even in your industry, a referral is just like the best compliment ever. Like, thank you so much. So I would say probably half of those half of my clients refer me to friends, families, colleagues, whatever, coworkers, which is so awesome.
Yeah.
And to be able to give back. And many of those are referrals to other heroes. So to be able to give back to those individuals is awesome.
Yeah, referrals are awesome. I'm always interested when I have someone tell me, I'm not interested in referrals. I'm like, well, I don't know where your business comes from, but I'm interested in referrals. Yeah, okay. I hate to say that I've had that said to me before, but
wow.
I've heard that. Let me ask you this. I just wanted to touch on a couple of other things. Obviously, part of the reason that we do this podcast is I want to talk to people that are highly motivated to be successful and have kind of learned that the biggest impediment to success is yourself. That thing between the ears, that's where we make our excuses and our rationale. As human beings, we really like to rationalize why we're not where we'd like to be. And it's really easy to say, well, so-and-so at such and such real estate office is better at that than I am, or he has the inside track with that lender, or they've got the inside track with, that developer. And that's really easy. But the reality is that's just an excuse-making exercise to help you sleep at night.
Right.
The reality is most of us that have found any type of success realize that, we have to take that accountability piece, that ownership piece. And you know what? It's that ability to look yourself in the mirror and say, did I do everything I could do today to be successful that's going to differentiate whether you're successful or not? What advice would you give to somebody that, say, was going to get into your industry, or someone that's maybe starting out as an entrepreneur in any business? What is that thing that you would tell them, like, if you could go back and talk to yourself, 5 years ago, that you would have said, hey, this will get you started on the right foot. These are the things, or this is the thing that you should do to kind of have that future success that you want to have.
Connections.
Yeah.
And I'll just leave it at that. Or relationships.
Yeah.
Same thing. Relationships and connections. If you are not an individual, if you're not comfortable talking to people, socializing and building meaningful connections. I'm not talking about just you show up at the meet and greet at 419 West and say hi and leave. I'm talking about if you're not comfortable shaking that hand, talking to that person, sharing real stories with people and connecting, this is not the industry for you. You really have to have your client's best interest in mind. And the only way you can do that is to form a connection with them. I think that is and in hindsight, I look back now, I use social media quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Facebook, I don't use other ones. Facebook is really about it. And I got into it years ago because in the military, all of my connections are all over the country. They're everywhere. And then law enforcement, they come and go, and they go to other departments. So to stay connected with all these people, Facebook was the number one thing for me. Building those connections with people and staying in touch with people. So when I decided to get in real estate, I had a foundation of in-person relationships, people I could reach out to, like you and others. But I also had a social network on that platform to reach out. And that's just been a blessing. Because people in my social world and social network world have reached out to me in other states saying, hey, I need an agent in my area. Can you, how do I find an agent? What do I do? And I put them in contact with an agent. And that, again, brings legitimacy to me and my ability to find them somebody that's competent. So now I get calls from people, from friends or people I've crossed paths with that I've kept up with. I don't just say hi, I say happy birthday on birthday day. I form that connection with them. And they're like, hey, Mac, I need somebody. They come to me. They're in California. True story. A month and a half ago, my pilot who flew me around in Iraq, Zach Smith, he gives me a call. Mac, he's in California, okay? I'm opposite, right? Mac, I think I'm going to sell my house. I'm like, fantastic. He's like, can you find me an agent? I need somebody who understands, maybe, who, me. He said, I need somebody who can understand me and my military side and what motivates me to sell my house. Sure enough, I'm able to, because of my networking with other agents, I found an agent in the area. I interviewed the agent. I said, this is who my client is. I matched them up. They got their house sold in 3 days for about $70,000 more than they were listed it for. my buddy calls me up and says, Mac, my gosh, man. He goes, I feel like I should give you half of this. I'm like, no. It's all yours, man. It's what I do for you, for your service.
That's awesome.
And but without building that relationship, that would have never happened. So if if anybody is watching this and you're thinking about getting into real estate, whether it's now or whether it's you're preparing for retirement or whatever the case is, you have got to build your network of people. Oh, and let me mention, as a real estate agent, the other part of being successful, and I have had early success. So other agents in my office say, Mac, you're a unicorn. You're a unicorn.
They think you're special.
So last year it was a unicorn. I had a unicorn year. So I'm asking them, what about this year?
Yeah.
Am I just a unicorn plus? I mean, what is it? So last year, I probably was a unicorn in comparison to how the first year agents roll. Because most agents sell about 8 to 10 houses in their first year or any year. There's 1,350 agents in Roanoke.
That's a lot.
In the Roanoke Valley.
That's a lot.
1,350. I finished the year in the top 50 last year.
That's awesome.
And I'll finish in the top 50 this year. So out of 1,350 agents, I'll close about 58 deals this year.
That's awesome.
58 people chose me over 1,300 agents in the Roanoke Valley.
Wow.
And that's not a bragging thing. It's a client care thing.
Yeah.
I've done my due diligence to make sure I looked out for my clients the best I can, and it comes back to me.
Yeah.
It comes back to me, and it's huge. So if you're getting into this industry, you should know how and understand how to form relationships with people.
And I would say if you don't know how to do that, because I think the same thing's true in our industry, you've got to get, and this is a saying that I've said before, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. So if you're not good at it, you got to put yourself out there and make an attempt. And you know what? Maybe it's going to be awkward at the beginning, but the more and more you do anything, you and I both know the better you become at it. And you know what? Maybe you've got those reservations. You're in your own head. You're thinking to yourself, well, I'm not comfortable doing this. I can tell you right now, I'm a very private person. I do not like to, as much as I'm hosting a podcast and you may think like, well, I just enjoy this. I really like to hang out with my wife and my kids, and this isn't the thing. When I have to go to like a networking event, it's one of those things where I have to actually amp myself up and say, okay, let's go and have a good time and understand I have a job to do. It's to go meet people, make connections, and be on my A game. Because I think a lot of people think that this just comes naturally, that, you're just everybody, you're either a natural or you're not a natural. You can make yourself comfortable enough being uncomfortable that you get good at this. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of David Goggins, famous ultra marathoner, Navy SEAL. He talks about all the time, like I just went out there. He said that people think I'm a world-class athlete, that I had all this skill, that, God gifted me with all this ability, the unicorn, so to speak. But he said, I can't say whether or not I might have something on somebody. He said, but I know there are guys out there that have more athletic ability, that have more gifts than me. There's probably people out there that are a lot more social than you and I, and a lot more gifted. But the question is, what did they do in the moment? Did they put themselves out there? Did they make an attempt? Did they work at that? Because David will say right now, like, I was overweight. I was sitting on my couch. I had to make a decision. One day I just went out and started running.
That's right.
And the next thing you know, this guy becomes a Navy SEAL, becomes an ultra marathon runner, runs one for like 52 weeks consecutively. Like, that didn't happen by accident. What is the saying? Change is inevitable, but growth is intentional.
That's right.
And so if you want to grow your business or grow as an individual, you got to be intentional about it. And there's no doubt that that's key.
That's right. And if you're going to get into this industry, you have to understand that you are the only reason for your failure or for your success. And I noticed on the board here you can't deposit excuses.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you, in this industry, real estate agents are business owners. We are entrepreneurs. We own our company. We don't work for brokers. We have to hang a license with a broker. But we are a sole proprietor, our own business. And you can't deposit excuses. Excuses don't pay bills, man.
No, they don't.
They don't pay bills. So if you are not actively going out there and putting yourself in front of people and showing them your value, the value proposition of what you can offer them. And that's client care has got to be number one. And I have found that stands true with me. When I talk to my clients after we close on houses, I'll say, well, what was your takeaway from this experience? And they'll say, Mac, you communicated with me. You helped us. You were there for us. You were responsive. You put us in contact with the right people to get whatever process during the transaction done, whether it's your home inspector, whether it's your insurance agent, whatever it is. Like, you got us in touch with the right people. And so I have surrounded myself with a team, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
And you know this in your industry. And any agent that's out there that's not doing this, shame on you. But I take pride in my client care as a person, what I expect of me for my clients. So when I went out initially, I was like, okay, I know I need to find a preferred lender, somebody that I trust that's going to take care of my client. I need to find an insurance agent that's going to do the same thing. I need to find a home inspector that's going to find everything in the house we need to find. All those people, I have surrounded myself with those individuals. So when we do have a home under contract, or I'm helping a buyer or seller, I have the right people in the right place to get the job done. And that at the end of the day is what's meaningful for my clients.
Yeah, that's what separates you from everyone else. And one of the questions I often ask people towards the end is, what does that phrase mean? You kind of picked it up off the wall and kind of nailed it out of the park. So it kind of makes my life a little bit easier, because I don't even have to even go over that, because you picked up on it naturally. One of the questions that I like to ask people, I think a lot of times when it comes to success, we talk about, what you've got to do, what it entails. It entails making yourself uncomfortable. But there's an overarching thing that I think we all have to come to the realization of, which is we all have to have a why we do what we do. And I know you mentioned earlier that you might have a few children. I'll let you talk about it, and I would imagine they may be part of your reason why. But I think that's key. I think, that's what gets you up and motivated every day. And if you don't have that thing, and kids are obviously a great motivator, but there's many things that can motivate you. I think we fall short a lot of times in life of being the best version of us that we can be, because we don't think big enough, or we don't have the vision, and we just think that, good enough is good enough, and we just get comfortable being there. And so I wanted you to just talk a little bit about, what's your reason why? What motivates you to do what you do?
Man, I tell you, I'm married to the greatest woman on the planet. I'm telling you. Together we have 6 kids, and so I have 2 of them are in college at the moment, West Virginia University in Radford. I have my other daughter, who's an adult. She's out in the workforce doing her thing. She's doing a great job. We have 3 in high school. Man. 2 of them are graduating this year and going to go off to college. One's been accepted to Penn State.
Awesome.
The other one's procrastinating a little bit on his applications. And they're twins, right? They could be so different.
Make sure you share this video with them afterwards so that they'll know. Know you're procrastinating.
Couldn't be so different. So the sister's got her acceptance, so she knows she's good for one of the 6 she applied to, but there's not so on top.
Maybe the apple didn't fall far from the tree, Mac.
Well, I don't know. They're great. All of them are great kids. And then we'll have a freshman that's in high school, and she's phenomenal. She's going to do great things too. And we're just blessed with the kids that we have. But my big why is my family.
Yeah.
Do I want my wife working until she's 65 years old? And no, I don't. So I'm out here busting my tail to make sure I take care of clients, so that I can continue to have that return on my client care through referrals and continued success through my career. But at the end of the day, it is my family. And I know you can ask 100 people and they'll be like, oh yeah, it's my family. It's all this. But truly, it really is. My wife does so much for me and support. I got to be honest with you. So when I left the police department, my wife's like, okay, Mac, let me get this right. You want to leave a salaried position with health care to pursue a career that doesn't pay health care, right? No health care.
Yeah.
Doesn't pay health care or doesn't provide health care, right?
Yeah.
You don't, there's so many unknowns. You don't know what the market's going to do.
You don't have any idea.
And of course, this was last year before COVID hit.
Yeah.
So she's like, Mac, you got to prove to me. You have to prove to me last year. This is January of 19.
Mm-hmm.
Prove to me that you can sell a house. Because I don't know that you can. She just doesn't know. She's not a risk taker.
Yeah.
I am a risk taker. I'm always one of these people who go, you know what, I think I'm going to do this today. And I just go do it. Because I have a little bit of faith that I can get it done. Because I know I can.
You believe in yourself.
I believe in myself. I'm very confident in myself in that aspect of things. So I had to prove to her last year. She's like, well, if you can sell 6 houses, you can save, then that means you've saved enough money. That's half of your salary, police salary. If it's a certain amount of homes,
Yeah.
Well, and I proved her I could do it. So she said, she gave me the green light and do it. So because she has been supportive of my efforts to go ahead and hang my shield up and leave the world of law enforcement and pursue this real estate path, she's been supportive of me. And it's I love her for that. And so she and the kids, they're all, hey, look, I got a lot of college to pay for, right?
You got a lot of college to pay for, no doubt.
So I don't know how that couldn't be my big why.
That is your big why. I was telling somebody earlier, I said, I've got both of my kids in school this year. They're going to a private school, and you want to talk about something that'll get you motivated in the morning to get up and go to work. It's like, look, I want to do the best I can do for them, to put them through an opportunity that I never had. My wife and I, we're from Botetourt County. We're high school sweethearts, 22 years together. If you were to ask me my biggest why or my biggest fan or supporter or the reason I am where I am today, it would sound just like what you're saying. And all those kids getting ready to either go into college or being there, you've got all the motivation in the world that you need right there.
And you're right. We want our kids to be in a better position than we were at their age.
Yep.
And I feel like I'm able to do that right now. And that is, there's no better feeling than to know that we've allowed our kids right after high school to step off into this crazy world that we're in. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's nuts. And of course, our grandparents said the same thing to us. Oh, you guys are living in this crazy world, right?
Yeah.
So now we're saying it to our kids.
Yeah.
Right. So to be able to push them out of that nest into this crazy world on a better foundation than what we had, that's the ultimate goal.
So, Mac, I just wanted to say it's great having you on. I've enjoyed our conversation thoroughly.
Yeah,
obviously, we could sit here and do this all day because there's so much to talk about. One thing I would like to ask everybody at the end of our conversation is, where can our listeners and our viewers find out more about how to reach you, how to get in contact with you? Say they want to buy, they want to sell, they're thinking about doing those things. Maybe they're former veteran, they're law enforcement, whatever the case may be. Where can they reach out to you? Where they can find you?
It's a great question. So you can give me a direct call or text at 540-312-9202. Find me on Mac Westland Realtor on Facebook. You can also, I have a couple Facebook accounts. You can find me just Mac Westland. Mm-hmm. So reach out to me there. Send me a direct message through Facebook. Send me a text. Give me a call. You can email me at MacWestland, Mac Westland @kw.com. Send me an email. I text really well because my kids they told me
they taught you how to do it.
Well.
Yeah,
right. So I've learned to text real well. So yeah, you can find me there.
Awesome. Yeah, I think everything that you've said about your experience with your clients and how they've reached out to you over the holidays and all that, it's a testament to who you are and what you bring to the table. And like I said, I'm glad that you're able to join us today. You can find out more about the clients that we have on the show by subscribing and liking us on YouTube. Also, follow us on all your favorite podcast platforms. Max, great having you. Appreciate you having the show.
I appreciate the opportunity, and everybody that's watching. I happy holidays.
All right, thank you.